everyone, my name is Yajoshi and today we are going to see some details about the dark reaction, and we also focus on some part like when the cell knows that when to start, when to activate the photosystem 1. We will have some detail about it, and we also see C3 cycle, and the next topic will be the C4 pathway and then CAM pathway. This is the scenario of what we are going to study. ठीक है. Now suppose our first topic is why, you know our first topic is why there is need of C1 photosystem, not C1, actually it is photosystem 1 to operate. We will see some conditions regarding this. Okay, number first point. See, in the dark reaction, you will see that to run a dark reaction, we will study about the dark reaction in the latter part of this video, but for some time please keep in mind that for dark reaction to operate we will need 12 NADPH2 and 18 ATP molecules. Okay, now so you must be seeing some discrepancy in this, that 12 molecules of NADPH2 and 18 molecules of ATP molecules, 18 molecules of ATP. So okay, the ATP is like something very much excess in comparison to NADPH2. So for that ATP molecules, for the requirement of that much high amount of ATP molecules, we need photosystem 1, because you all know that photosystem 1 is gonna produce ATP molecules, but it will not produce O2 or NADPH2. In the previous lecture we have discussed about this, okay, that when photosystem 1 will operate, ATP molecules will be generated, but there will be no O2 and NADPH2. Fine. So you mean to say that there will be no photolysis of water? Yes, there will be no photolysis of water. Okay, one example, that PS2, if PS2 will operate, then it will produce 12 NADPH2 and 12 molecules of ATP, but the remaining 6 molecules of ATP will be produced by the photosystem 1. So in this case photosystem 1 activity must be higher. Okay, now for the second case, for example, during sunrise or sunset, sunrise or sunset. Okay, so during sunrise or sunset, you all must have seen that the sky is reddish in color, so that means that the wavelength will be much more higher in comparison to 680 nanometer, or in comparison to the violet light that you must have seen. Okay, so during sunsets or sunrise we are getting, not we are getting, actually the plants are getting more than 680 nanometer of wavelength, and you very well know that if the wavelength is greater than 680 nanometer, then PS1 will function efficiently, because it has photosystem 1 has chlorophyll molecules, chlorophyll A molecule operating under 700 nanometer, and the photosystem 2 molecule will not function efficiently because the radiation we are getting is greater than 680 nanometer, not less than or equal to 680 nanometer. I hope you all get it. So PS2 will not work efficiently. Okay, so in that case PS1 will function and it will dominate. Okay, so this is the second case. Now we will move to another case. Number third point is, suppose the rate of light reaction and dark reaction are not equal. Means that there must be any discrepancy. We don't know about the discrepancy, but let us assume hypothetically that if the light reaction is performing its function very well, very efficiently, but the dark reaction is not running properly, maybe due to lack of some substance like Rubisco enzyme and all. So dark reaction is not functioning efficiently. So in that case, light reaction will dominate, and there will be the excess production of NADPH2 molecules. We all know, because light reaction include both PS1 and PS2. There will be excess production of NADPH2 and ATP molecules, and that excess intermediates of the light reaction, the end product of the light reaction, we must say that these excess production of NADPH2 and ATP is of no use. Sir, what does it mean? It means that for the proper and smooth functioning of dark reaction, we need what? We need NADPH2. But I am saying that dark reaction is not functioning. So if the dark reaction is not functioning, that means NADPH2 is not gonna utilize in the formation of NADP. You will see in the latter part of this video that in the reduction step of the C3 pathway, we will use this NADPH2 for making this NADP positive. So if the dark reaction is not functioning, then we can say that NADPH2 will be accumulated in the cell, and the cell will analyze it. So we must stop the production of NADPH2, but for the maintenance of the cell, we need some molecules of energy, we need some energy packets, and that is called ATP. So that is why the PS1 will function. PS1, the role of PS1 is to function properly and provide the ATP needed by the cell. Okay, so in that case, PS2 will not function because there is excess production of NADPH2 in that kind of cell. Now again, we will move to the fourth point. Okay, in the fourth point, let us assume that if there is excess of light energy, so what will happen? See, if there will be excess light energy, then there must be a chance of any damage to chlorophyll. Okay, the chlorophylls may get damaged, it may get oxidized. So to prevent this, what we need is to immediately convert this excess light energy to some other forms of energy. You are getting my point, that what we are doing is we convert this excess light energy into chemical energy. And what do you mean by chemical energy? Actually, you can convert light energy into anything, like in heat, in the form of heat, or in anything, but what the cell is gonna do is it converts this light energy into the chemical energy in the form of ATP. Like, this is the light energy, and you will convert, you means the cell will convert, the mesophyll cell will convert this light energy into the ATP energy rich molecules. And what will happen, that to run this ATP molecules, to make this ATP molecules, we need PS1 system to function properly. And for that reason, for that only reason, there must be high production of ATP, and for that only reason, PS1 will function to make that ATP molecules. So to ensure that the cell will not get damaged by the excess light energy. So guys, this is all about the 4 points or the need of doing photosystem 1 efficiency. ठीक है, about some downhill movement and some ETS part which was incomplete in my previous session. So in the downhill part, you will see that whenever we will lose an object from its higher potential energy to its lower potential energy, the molecule or any particle will move from its high potential energy to low potential energy, ultimately without any expenditure of energy, but it will lose the energy. It will not need any kind of energy, but instead of this, it will lose energy. Okay, so this is called downhill movement. And you see this, that in the grana part are utilizing this energy. We are utilizing the from the ETS, the energy is released, and we are utilizing those energy to incorporate H plus ions into the lumen of the grana from the stroma. And if the if the H plus is accumulated, if the proton is accumulated, so proton will say that invested in bringing me to this lumen part. So now this is my fundamental right, and this is my duty. the H plus will think, he's a good guy, this guy will think that it is my sole duty to release the same amount of energy in breaking down the gradient. So if the gradient of proton will break, the energy will release. How the energy will release? This is the same energy that is released in the ETS. So indirectly ETS is helping. Okay, so let's discuss about some more detail of this ETS part. And before going into this let's talk about redox potential. What is redox or reduction potential? Suppose if there is a molecule and if we extracted some electron from that molecule, then the molecule will try its best to acquire the lost electron or to acquire any electron, because it is now electron deficient. So this tendency to attract, this tendency of having more attraction to any electron is called as redox potential or the reduction potential. Why it is called reduction potential and not oxidation potential? Because by gaining electron it will now be getting reduced. So that is why it is called reduction potential, the ability to get reduced. The affinity for electron, more the affinity for the electron, more will be the chance of getting its own reduction. So that is called redox potential or the reduction potential. And what you gonna see in this redox potential, that if there will be more redox potential, then there will be more electron affinity. What? There will be more electron affinity. So that means that if an electron and or if an particle is moving from its high potential energy to low potential energy, that means it is ultimately flowing like this. So that means that the particle has very much efficiency for obtaining the low potential energy. That means if there is high electron affinity, that means low energy. You see, in another way, I am just comparing it. For example, if you see that if there is a molecule having a high redox potential and if there is a molecule having low redox potential, then what will happen? You say that high redox potential means it has high affinity to acquire electron, and in front of that high redox potential compound we place a low energy, a low reduction we placed a low reduction potential compound. So this high redox potential compound will dominate over the low redox potential compound and it will acquire some electron towards itself. Okay, so electron movement will be like this from low redox potential to the high redox potential, and we all know that the low redox potential and we all know that electron move from what? High potential energy to low potential energy. That means that the electron is moving from high potential energy to low or low redox potential to high redox potential. So in another way we will say that more the redox potential, more the redox potential, the less will be energy. So there is an inverse relation between the redox potential and the energy. Okay, so if you place two molecule, two compound, like one is a high redox potential compound and another one is the low redox potential compound, then there will be downhill movement of electron in going from low redox potential to high redox potential. Now vice versa, in going from high redox potential to low redox potential, because this molecule is very much angry that please don't take my electron, but somehow we will manage to give that electron to the low redox potential compound, then we must have to give some energy, and that's why we call it as an uphill process. So what is uphill process? Examiner may ask you in NEET 2021 that the movement of electron from high redox potential to low redox potential is called an uphill process. So now again we will see this diagram, that suppose if there is a photosystem and for somehow reason if we excite this photosystem molecule by giving it to some light energy, then this photosystem molecule will get excited, the chlorophyll molecule will get excited, and this photosystem will get excited, its energy will be much more higher than compared to this, and in the vicinity of this photosystem molecule we have what called as primary acceptor. In case of light reaction, in case of photosystem 2, we have phaeophytin as a primary electron acceptor. So this primary electron acceptor is placed. Now this photosystem molecule, initially this photosystem molecule have very much high energy. You know, the energy is 3 electron volt. I am saying about not energy, I am saying about the redox potential, pardon me. This is called as redox potential, very much high. Redox potential is expressed in electron volt or millivolt. This redox potential is very much high. So generally in the resting state, this primary electron acceptor will not acquire any electron because its energy is low in comparison to this photosystem molecule, which is around 2 electron volt. You see that the high redox potential to low redox potential, that is 2 electron volt, we must have to give some energy, and that form of energy is given by the light or the photon. The photon will excite this photosystem molecule and make its redox potential much more lower in comparison to this primary electron acceptor. So that's why there must to ensure smooth movement of electron. By striking the photon molecules and the photosystem molecules, its redox potential is now reduced to 1 electron volt from 3 electron volt initially. Okay, so this is 1 electron volt and this is 2 electron volt. Then the electron will smoothly flow from photosystem 1 or any photosystem to primary acceptor. There must be a question that why I am teaching you this kind of concept is because NCERT mentions two things, that this photosystem molecules has both high energy as well as low energy, not energy, I am talking about redox potential, pardon me. Okay, so this molecule has a high as well as low RP. So you must have to understand why, in what case there is high RP in comparison to this primary electron acceptor. That means we are talking about the initial condition, and in what condition the RP is low. In the excited state, the RP is low. So this is the concept NCERT is trying to say, this kind of thing. So now we are moving towards we are building some concepts to make you understand about the Z. The scientists have drawn a graph of RP, that is redox potential, and this is the negative side, that is this 0, -1, -2, and this is the positive side, +1, +2. So now what will happen is that what is happening is we arrange some molecules on the base of RPs or the redox potential in the laboratory. So if we plot some graph, then the photosystem 2 molecule have RP redox potential +1, and the phaeophytin molecule has RP of -1. Phaeophytin, you see that phaeophytin has low redox potential as compared to this PS2. So that is why there is a proper smooth flow of electron from PS2 to phaeophytin, smooth, and this is downhill. Now you will see that the PS1 molecule is placed somehow in between this +1 and the 0 state. So I am drawing PS1 here. So if I am drawing PS1, so if I am drawing this PS1 molecule over this graph having energy in between +1 and 0, I will see that this PS1 molecule has a very much high energy, and that is why from the phaeophytin we see that the electron is moving from the tunnel of ETS, and now it will not reach the PS1 until and unless PS1 is excited by the photon molecules. We see that in the previous lecture. So PS1 molecule must have to excite, and that means that there is a molecule called ferredoxin reducing substance. Now this ferredoxin reducing substance has a has a redox potential of -1. So again there is a smooth flow of electron, and that is the downhill process. You see that you have seen in the previous section that the electron is moving smoothly from PS1 to FRS. Okay, okay, the excited PS1, we are talking about the excited PS1, not the initial PS1. Okay, so electrons are exciting from PS1 to FRS molecule. Okay, and this is a downhill process, not an uphill process, because we are talking about the excited ps1. Okay, so if the ps1 is now excited and it will give its electron downhill to the FRS molecule, now this ps1 will become electron deficient and it will try to attract some electron from phaeophytin. But see, the electron it will acquire from phaeophytin is what is uphill process. Why uphill process? See, uh, now you see that FRS molecule the FRS molecule will downhillly attract the electron from PS1, but the electron which starts its journey from the phaeophytin molecule towards the ETS, it's now stopped in the ETS. Now it must have to get confirmation from the PS1 that PS1 bhai, are you excited or not? If you are excited, then I will come, otherwise I will not come. So it will ensure that the PS1 is excited or not. So this is called their scheme. We are arranging the molecules on the basis of their redox potential, and we are getting a diagram shaping like Z. That is why it is called as Z scheme. So now let's move to our important topic called as dark reaction. We have studied about the light reaction. Now it's time to study about the dark reaction. For the dark reaction, we need to know some certain things. Okay, that dark reaction is itself, the term is a misnomer. What does it mean that it is a misnomer? Actually, it means that this reaction is not happening in dark or in the absence of light. The name is given because this reaction is dependent on the end product of the light reaction, that is the ATP and NADPH. Make sure that you will learn this concept. Okay, now I am going in detail about dark reaction. Actually, there must be a question that dark reaction is called dark because it is dependent on the end product of the light reaction. Is it a true statement or false statement? It is incompletely true. Why it is incompletely true? Because the end product of light reaction is O2, ATP and NADPH, but dark reaction is not dependent on the O2 part, is it? No. Yes, it is completely true that dark reaction is dependent on the end product of the light reaction, because somehow the O2 released will affect the Rubisco enzyme. You will see later on that how in the presence of O2 photorespiration occurs. So this dark reaction is dependent on the end product of light reaction, ATP, NADPH and O2, as well as don't forget about this O2 molecule. Okay, so now this dark reaction is also called as biosynthetic phase because it is happening in the stromal part or the liquid part of the chloroplast molecule. And this dark reaction is also called as Blackman's reaction. Okay, now fantastic thing about this dark reaction. Sir, what is this fantastic thing about dark reaction? Actually, dark reaction in different organism operates in different style. What do you mean by, sir, different style? See, there is C3 pathway, there is C4 pathway, and there is CAM pathway. Okay, so what is happening that in the C3 pathway only C3 cycle is operating, while in the C4 pathway both C3 and C4 is operating, and again in CAM pathway both C3 and C4 is operating. Sir, what does it mean? What is the difference between pathway and cycle? So let me just complete my statement. Let me just close my statement that in the C3 pathway you will see that C3 pathway is operating in some plant, C4 pathway is operating in some plant, CAM pathway is operating in some plant. So what is the difference? Actually there is a plant, okay, and in that in all the plant light reaction is same, but there is variability in dark reaction. In some plant dark reactions follows the C3 pathway, and in some plant it follows the C4 pathway, and in some plant it follows the CAM pathway. So we will study very thoroughly about all these three things: C3 pathway, C4 pathway and CAM pathway. So now let's study. Let me just give you an overview of this topic, that C3 cycle, C3 cycle is universal, it will happen in all the plant. That the C4 pathway is happening in suppose a uniform time like daytime. Okay, time is constant but the place is different. We will see how the place is different, why the place is different. There are some reasons for it. And for the camp pathway you will see that the place is same but the time is different. Like suppose C4 is happening in night and C3 is happening in day. We will see all this in detail. So let me just go into some detailed part of it, but before going into deep, let me just give you some important question that Calvin demonstrated C3 cycle, and how he did was he take the C14 isotope, C14 carbon C14 isotope, and it injected it into the mesophyll cells. You will see that mesophyll cells has various compounds and various hydrolyzing enzymes too in the lysosomes part. So there are dynamic reactions going in the chloroplast thing. So we are not sure about that which carbon is used, the carbon that is diffused or not. So to demonstrate or to prove, Calvin used the radioisotopic method, and this is the very much advanced method. So it is widely accepted that by the radioisotopic method and by using chromatographic technique, Calvin cycle use this radioisotopic and chromatographic technique to demonstrate whether this CO2, whether the carbohydrate that we are getting is coming from CO2 from the atmosphere or not. If the CO2 is coming from the atmosphere and we are somehow making it radioisotopic, then the carbohydrate is radioisotopic and we are getting some kind of radiation from that carbohydrate molecule. Okay. And for your kind information, I just mentioned one thing, that in the PET scan now we inject what isotopic glucose to check the metabolism. If the metabolism is very much high, suppose in the cancer cells there is very much high metabolism is going on, continuous form anabolism and catabolism, and in that case if we inject glucose molecule it will be degraded, so there will be less radiation. Okay, there will be high much glucose uptake. Okay, there will be very much high what radiation going on. So we will localize the tumor or the cancer by this PET scan using this method, by the way. Okay, so we will also get to know about that the product RUBP is going to accept this CO2 molecule, which is a 5 carbon compound giving us 2 molecule of PGA, phosphoglyceric acid. We will see it later, but for the summary part you can say that the 5 carbon compound, not the 2 carbon compound, is getting one CO2 to make into 3 carbon compound. This is wrong because PGA is 3 carbon compound. Actually what is happening, that 5 carbon compound is accepting that one CO2 molecule, and we get to know about this thing via this radioisotopic method, that RUBP molecule will accept the CO2 molecule and convert itself into 2 molecules of 3 carbon compound, that is the PGA. Okay, now let's study about dark reaction. Dark reaction is very much simple. Sir, what is a special thing about dark reaction? See guys, in the dark reaction, if we are talking about the C3 pathway, that means that it will include the C3 cycle, or the Calvin cycle. We say that there is 3 steps, and I want you to learn that 3 steps. First one is called as carboxylation, second one is called as reduction, and third one is called as regeneration. Sir, why do we learn about these 3 things? Let me clarify you these 3 things: carboxylation, reduction and regeneration, in which the carboxylation is the most crucial step, and it is asked many times in the previous NEET exam or AIPMT exams. Most crucial step, there is an MCQ on this. Why it is called most crucial step? Let's just explore this. So what is happening, that by you know by completing light reaction, we have some end products like O2, ATP and NADPH2. So now what to do with that molecules? You know we will do one thing, that we are taking CO2 from outside, and if we fix that CO2 molecule somehow in the cell, because for production of any kind of carbohydrate or sugar or anything like protein or you know anything, we need carbon molecule, exactly, because carbon is the backbone of the organic compound. So how the plant will get the carbon molecule? It will get from the nature in the form of CO2. So we need CO2 molecule, and we also need to fix it to the cell, otherwise it will diffuse out from the cell. So we need that some agent must be present inside the cell, which can trap that CO2 molecule and keep it inside, and thus preventing its diffusion to the outside. Okay, so there must be a carboxylation. Carboxylation means that the addition of CO2, and after addition of CO2 to the cell, we must ensure the second step, that is called reduction, because after adding carbon we will get what? Carboxylated product, or from the organic chemistry you will see that carboxylated means COH. So we are getting the COH wala molecule, and it is the acidic part, because addition of CO2, for example, in our body CO2 is transported in the form of bicarbonate. You see that if anyhow if we incorporate CO2 into our body, it will bind with the water and convert itself into H2CO3 with the help of carbonic anhydrase, and that carbonic anhydrase uses zinc as its cofactor. It is a previous year MCQ question in NEET exam. Okay, so H2CO3 or the acid is forming. So after addition of carbon, there is addition, there is some acidification of the cells, and to prevent that acidification the cell must undergo, otherwise the cell will die, because the pH will rise gradually. Okay, so so we need some kind of reduction wala step. So reduction is going to happen, and in that step we need the NADPH2 and the ATP molecule, and that NADPH2 molecule will provide its hydrogen, and it will reduce that COH into aldehyde or the ketone, and it is not a spontaneous reaction that NADPH2 is coming, and that H2 the hydrogen is ultimately added to the COH. We need some energy to make that bond, and the energy is provided by the ATP. So that is why the light reaction must be present, the end product of light reaction must be present at optimum level like ATP and NADPH2, so to help for the reduction of that COH and maintenance of the cell, otherwise the cell will die. So the step is now from COH with the help of addition of ATP and NADPH2 molecule, what is happening, that aldehyde or the reduced product is formed, and that aldehyde product, for example, it is first carbon compound, and after that one by one carbon is added with the help of this ATP and NADPH2, and finally there will be the formation of what? Carbohydrate, because we all know for our body or the plant body this aldehyde molecule is toxic. This CHO is very much toxic. How is it toxic? That if any person is intaking alcohol, that alcohol with the help of alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme, it is converted into aldehyde molecule, and it is very much toxic to the body. So the plant will try to, if it is toxic to human, it will also be toxic to the plant. Now, so CHO will be polymerized, not CHO, the CHO molecule will be polymerized to C carbon having OH, because now the CHO is reduced to alcohol. So now the it will ultimately form the carbohydrate molecule. So now carbohydrate is formed. Okay, but there is a thing, that the molecule, the initial molecule that fixes the CO2 from the atmosphere must be released. Now there is a function of that molecule, that it will bind to the CO2 and it will help in the reduction of that CO2 molecule to what? Carbohydrate or the glucose part, but it will also be released now. So there must be a breakage of the bond, okay, between that molecule and the stable carbohydrate molecule, because we all know that carbohydrate, when whenever binds to any molecule, the bond will be stable bond, otherwise it will be cleaved very much easily. So the cell will not try to cleave that. Okay, so it was very much stable bond, so we need some kind of ATP molecule to cleave that bond, and with the help of this we will get that molecule again. So this process is called as regeneration process. Now we will see in detail about this regeneration process. First of all, see, the molecule which I am talking about, the receptor molecule, is RUBP, ribulose bisphosphate. Bisphosphate means it has two phosphate molecules attached to itself. Okay, this is a 5 carbon compound, and with the help of some enzyme, don't ever get confused between RUBP and Rubisco. I will say that please don't confuse between this Rubisco and RUBP. Rubisco is RUBP, matlab ribulose bisphosphate carboxylase oxygenase. It means that carboxylase and oxygenase. What does it mean, sir? It means that this enzyme has affinity to bind that RUBP with CO2 or either O2. That means the enzyme, what it will do, it will take one CO2 molecule. Okay, the enzyme, what this enzyme is doing, Rubisco enzyme is taking one Rubisco molecule, and on the other hand it will either attach either CO2 or O2 molecule to form the respected product. So the Rubisco will decide whether CO2 attached product will form or the O2 attached product will form. Okay, so this if O2 concentration is very much high, it will bind to that enzyme, and ultimately RUBP will bind to oxygen, and there will be photorespiration process happening. But if this RUBP is binding to CO2, then Calvin cycle or C3 cycle is gonna happen. So this is the checkpoint. So that is why we are calling it as the most crucial step, because this step will decide whether C3 will happen or C2 or photorespiration will occur. If O2 bind to that RUBP molecule, then photorespiration is gonna happen. So that Rubisco enzyme is very much important. It is RUBP carboxylase oxygenase, and it is dependent on the concentration of the carbon dioxide or the oxygen molecule. So it is very much dar badlu type of enzyme, kabhi idhar to kabhi udhar. So we can't trust this enzyme. So what will happen is that formation of 6 carbon compound, but the 6 carbon compound is very much stable. It ultimately breaks down into 2 molecule of 3 carbon compound, that is called as phosphoglyceric acid. I have told about you that phosphoglyceric acid, addition of CO2 is gonna produce COOH, which is an acid. That is why we are calling it as phosphoglyceric acid, 3-PGA molecule. If the 3-PGA molecule is formed, that is why this step is called as carboxylation, that is addition of CO2. Now what is happening is this step, and what the next step that happening is reduction, and in that step we are converting that acidic part into what, aldehyde wala part. Okay, so in the reduction we are making triose phosphate. What we are making? Triose phosphate, triose, O's, ketose, aldose, anything. So it means that aldehyde is forming with the help of phosphate. So what do we need in that reduction step is very much important. In the reduction step we need some H, which must be coming from NADPH2, and what else do you need? We need what? ATP molecule. Now the ATP will break down and supply the energy to make the covalent bond. Okay, so ATP will convert into ADP and inorganic phosphate, while the NADPH2 will convert into NADP plus, ultimately forming the triose phosphate, 2 molecule of triose phosphate. Everything clear? Triose phosphate is also 3 carbon compound, no change or no change of carbon molecule. But one thing is happening, an examiner will ask you that in the reduction process how many NADPH2 will be utilized and ATP will be utilized. So the answer is very much simple, and please keep in mind that for each molecule of reduction of PGA, we will need what? 2 NADPH2 and 2 ATP. Okay, this is the most important and the most basic thing for doing the calculation wala part. Okay, so you must know about it that for each PGA we will need 2 molecules of NADPH2 and 2 molecules of ATP itself. Okay, so now if there is 2 molecule of PGA, 2 molecule of 3 PGA, then there will be 4 NADPH2 and 4 ATP, and there will be incorporation of what. Okay, So there is a incorporation of 2 ATP and 2 NADPH. So for two molecules of PGA, we are saying that 2 NADPH2 and 2 ATP are used. That means that for incorporation of one CO2, two molecules of PGA is formed and 2 NADPH2 and 2 ATP is utilized. That means that for incorporation of one CO2, 2 NADPH2, 2 NADPH2 and 2 ATP is gonna use. Okay, and after the formation of this aldehyde part, now again there must be a regeneration of RUBP, otherwise the RUBP is a protein. Now it is the most abundant protein, or most abundant protein in human. Okay, this is a question of biomolecule, most abundant protein in human, sorry, most abundant protein है. So now what I'm saying that there must be a regeneration process for getting that RUBP molecule back, and for that process उसको हम कहेंगे regeneration. Okay, so triose phosphate to RUBP, we will see that we must expend some energy, that is ATP molecule. One ATP is sufficient to convert that triose phosphate into, triose phosphate. Ultimately how much carbon is present? 2 into 2, that is 6 carbon is present. We have to cleave one carbon. Okay, no need to cleave another carbon, we must cleave that one carbon that is reduced. Okay, so we are cleaving that carbon and we are letting things go, that is 5 carbon back. So 5 RUBP is formed, and by the cleavage of that stable bond, one stable bond, we will need one ATP molecule. Okay, so therefore we will see that total of 2 NADPH2 and 3 ATP is needed for fixation of one CO2, for one fixation of one molecule of CO2. And we all know that in the carbohydrate molecule how many carbon is present? 6 carbon is present, and it will come from ultimately from the atmosphere. So that means that 6 times we have to repeat this cycle. Okay, so I'll multiply this with 6, because for each cycle to happen we need 2 NADPH2 and 3 ATP, and for the running of cycle 6 times we need 12 NADPH2 and 18 ATP molecules. So that is what I am saying previously. Go through the lecture that uh, this part, go through this part. Okay. Now one thing I must say that this reduction, this formation ultimately by the addition of one carbon and again one carbon and again one carbon from the triose phosphate, we are getting carbohydrate molecule. That means we are getting glucose from the PGA, which is the reversal of glycolysis. If you have read this topic in the respiration part, okay, so this is called reversal of glycolysis, and this is the most important thing. Okay, so there are three steps. One is called as carboxylation, other is reduction, and another one is regeneration. This thing is very much simple. Now again we are moving into, so what are the total inputs? 6 CO2 molecule and 12 NADPH to an 18 ATP molecule. Okay, so now in short, if we see about the C3 pathway happening in the C3 plant, we will see that this is a mesophyll cell, and in the mesophyll cell we have got grana molecule and we have the stroma molecule. We have the grana molecule and there is a stroma lamella also going, also present. Now the CO2 will incorporate, and we all know that RUBP, not RUBP, it is Rubisco. This Rubisco has tendency to bind with CO2 or O2, so there must be a competition between CO2 and O2 to bind with Rubisco enzyme. Okay, now photorespiration may happen only in high light intensity, because in the high light intensity light traction will be going very much fast. Ultimate high production of O2 will lead to binding of that O2 to the Rubisco enzyme and photorespiration will happen. Okay, now for the C4 plant there is an adaptation. So this is all about the C3 cycle. Now we are moving towards the C4 cycle. So now let's discuss something about C4 cycle. C4, actually we are talking about the C4 cycle, but we are saying about C4 pathway in broad way. Let me explain. C4 pathway is a broad thing which includes both C3 and C4. We are focusing on C4, particularly C4 plants, okay, in which C4 cycle is happening. So in the C4 plant, most of the plants are dicots, and you have to learn some examples. The examples are, sorghum, maize, sugar cane. This the example you must know, very much important. Dicots including sorghum, maize, sugar cane, these plants show C4 pathway. So why there is need of C4 cycle? Because you will see that this is called retrograde mode of preparation, in which we are asking some questions before teaching that thing. So that's why you must have some curiosity about the thing, to know that thing, to know about that question. So it is very much helpful in cracking these NEET exams nowadays, which is more clinical based. Now C4 cycle, in the C4 cycle you will see that there is less water needed. There is less water wastage, less water wastage, and you know more light absorption, and more efficiency. You will see it. It is some detail about it, and you will also see that it will show Kranz anatomy. We will learn about this Kranz anatomy now. Okay, so now in the C4 plant, what I am saying, that everything is knowing that if you cut the dicot leaf, suppose this is the dicot leaf, and if you cut it like this, and if you are exposing that part, and in the central part you will get what, the vascular tissue xylem and the phloem, and that vascular tissue xylem and phloem is surrounded by some layer of cells called as bundle sheath cells. What? Bundle sheath cells. This is called as bundle sheath cells. It is a protective covering of vascular tissue, bundle sheath. And the fantastic thing about this bundle sheath cell layer is that there is no intercellular space. It means that there, in between cells, there are no space. The cells are compactly arranged. Why they is compactly arranged? Because it may happen, that some gases may penetrate this, and by somehow inhibit or oxidize the chlorophyll molecule, or anything. We will discuss about it. So you will see that in the C4 plant, this is a vascular tissue, and that vascular tissue is surrounded by the bundle sheath cells. Again, in the vicinity of bundle sheath cells we will get mesophyll cells. Okay, So now this appearance is in the form of a necklace, so that is why it is called Cran's anatomy, and we will learn some basic three important characteristic about the Cran's anatomy which will be asked in NEET 2022, sorry. So this is called as the mesophyll cell. Mesophyll cells are arranged around the bundle sheath cells. So what was happening that you have learned about this in the anatomy section, that mesophyll cells is differentiated into the palisade parenchyma, and there is the vascular bundle surrounded by the bundle sheath, and there is a spongy mesophyll cells. So now in that case, in this case, this mesophyll cells is not differentiated into the palisade cells or the spongy cells, but it is arranged into non-differentiating circular cells, okay, concentric manner. It is arranged in concentric manner around the bundle sheath cell. Why it is arranged in concentric manner? Because to prevent the high intensity area. In that case, only palisade is preventing this vascular bundle, but in this case mesophyll cells is doing fantastic job in preventing, and that is why photosynthesis will happen in in high intensity light. So this is the question, why photosynthesis occur in high intensity light in C4 plant? Because of the presence of this Cran's anatomy, okay. Now other thing is that if we talk about the structural aspect, then the mesophyll cells have chloroplast, and the bundle cells will also have chloroplast, but the mesophyll cells having this chloroplast molecule, several chloroplast molecules have what called as grana, okay, and have stroma lamella too, okay, but in the stroma part you will not get any RUBP. What? RUBP? No, it is actually Rubisco. This is a question of NEET, that that Rubisco is absent, the enzyme is absent. Whether RUBP is present or not, it is not our matter, but the enzyme Rubisco is absent in the stromal part. This is very much important. This is granule, but the Rubisco is absent, and in the bundle sheath cells which is surrounding the vascular bundles, the chloroplasts are very much large and very much very much in number. In the mesophyll cells the chloroplast is less in number, but in the bundle sheath cells the chloroplasts are very much large and in huge quantity. So in the chloroplast you will see there is some modification. What is the modification? That the chloroplast has no grana. The chloroplast has no grana, but it has stroma lamella. What? It has stroma lamella. Stroma lamella is present, but there is no grana, okay. So one most fascinating thing is that Rubisco enzyme is present. So why is that modification present? Why is that specific treatment to C4 plant? Look, I am saying that Rubisco is absent in mesophyll cell, but Rubisco is present, but the thing that is absent is grana in the bundle sheath cell. Listen to me very carefully, that there is some problem related to this Rubisco. So what the cell is doing, that in that particular location wherever Rubisco is present, it has tendency to bind with oxygen. So the cell is doing fantastic job. What the cell is doing, in any case if Rubisco is present, it will ensure that no oxygen release will happen there, or no oxygen is present there. So sir, what does it mean? It means that I am saying that in the bundle sheath cells this grana is absent. So if the grana is absent, that means that PS1 and PS2 both are absent, but the stroma lamella is present. That means that PS1 is present, and since only PS1, because there is no there is no grana, but stroma lamella, that means PS1 is present but PS2 is absent. It means that there must be a cyclic photophosphorylation going on, and therefore there must be a release of only ATP, no oxygen. And if there is no oxygen, then it is the most safest place to keep this Rubisco enzyme. But in the mesophyll cells we have that grana part, and that is why we have both PS1 and PS2. So there is a risk of producing oxygen by the light reaction because pH2 is present, and with the help of non-cyclic photophosphorescence Z scheme oxygen will be produced, and that is why Rubisco is not kept here. This enzyme has very much high risk because it will ultimately lead to photorespiration, and you know that C4 plant is very much advanced. So everything is happening, just to keep in mind that Rubisco, wherever Rubisco is present, oxygen will not be there. Okay. Now what is happening that this CO2 molecule is going inside, there is a diffusion of CO2 and oxygen. So there is another modification that in the C4 plants the stomata are half open. Sir, if the stomata are half open, then there must be a less transport of CO2. No, you are wrong, my boy. Why I am saying that? Because there is so much efficiency in CO2 diffusion. Why there is so much efficiency? We see that in the outer or the peripheral part, in the, that is in the mesophyll cells, the Rubisco is absent, but here some enzymes called as, in the cytoplasma, some enzyme called as pepcase, which has very much high efficiency for the CO2. So what the mesophyll cell has placed some enzyme called pepcase. Okay. It employed some enzyme which is very much efficient in trapping CO2 molecules. Rubisco is not so much efficient because it can bind to O2, but pepcase will not bind to O2 in any circumstance. It has very much high efficiency for CO2. So if the stomata is half open, then there will be, if the stomata is half open, instead of being half open, there is no effect because it has very much high efficiency. So the mesophyll cells is now very much clever. It has placed the enzyme pepcase for the entry of this CO2 and to ensure that there is no O2 to go inside the hole. Listen to me very carefully, that oxygen can go to the bundle sheath cells because oxygen is necessary for the basic respiration. So there must be a little transport of oxygen to take place. Okay, but majorly CO2 will be there, and what we are doing is that this pepcase enzyme is what it is carrying CO2 molecule, and that CO2 molecule will now diffuse, will be in the diffuse form, that is the bicarbonate form, and that will bind to what? And that will bind to PAP, the first three letters PEP. I will say, I will be discussing about this in detail, but let me just give you some general idea about what is happening. There is a phosphoenol pyruvate PEP present in the cytoplasma, and the enzyme pepcase, what is this enzyme is doing? It will help in binding of CO2 and converting it into the bicarbonate. So that's why there is attachment of this bicarbonate to the PEP, and by the attachment of PEP to the bicarbonate, first stable product, that is oxaloacetic acid, which is a 4 carbon compound OAA. 4 carbon compound is formed, and that 4 carbon compound for the first time it is happening here, and is a stable product. That is why it is called a C4 pathway, because the first stable product is 4 carbon compound. Okay. So now what is happening, that 4 carbon compound is formed. That 4 carbon compound oxaloacetic acid is converted into the malic acid. I will be discussing about this in detail, but let me just make you one thing, why oxaloacetic acid is converted into malic acid. Let me just give you some idea, because malic acid is very much efficient in transport. Okay, and for the transport of some compound, we have some connections called as plasmodesmata in between the mesophyll cells and the bundle sheath cells for the fast transfer of malic acid, because you know that light is very much, because the C4 plant is kept in tropical areas where there are so much high light intensity that plant will not survive if it has not modified into C4. So that is why in high light intensity the malic acid will be formed very much in high amount. That malic acid which is formed very much in high amount must be transported to the bundle sheath cells. So that is why malic acid has very much high permeability. Now that malic acid is transported to the bundle sheath cells, and in the bundle sheath cells this malic acid is broken down into pyruvic acid, and CO2 is released, and that CO2 molecule will be cycled through the C3 cycle for the production of glucose in the bundle sheath cells. I will be discussing this, please be calm. I am just giving you the overview. So what is happening, that ultimately what is happening, that this CO2 that is present in the atmosphere, here. What we are doing, we are just incorporating it into the mesophyll cells and transporting it into the form of malic acid into the bundle sheath cells. And what is happening in the bundle sheath, again this malic acid is broken down to release the CO2 and pyruvic acid, and the pyruvic acid is then again transported to the mesophyll cells by the plasmodesmata. So pyruvic acid is coming again to the plasmodesmata, and pyruvic acid will be converted into again PEP with the help of some ATP, with the same mechanism that I have discussed earlier. So now there is CO2 accumulation. So you are seeing that this is called CO2 pumping. The CO2 is pumped inside with so much efficiency that there must not be presence of any O2. And you know very well that here RUBP is present, and with the help of a Rubisco enzyme, not RUBP, with the help of this Rubisco enzyme, CO2 will be undergoing C3 cycle and form carbohydrate molecule. So there is efficient production of carbohydrate in the C4 pathway, and it is operating in high light condition because of presence of this surrounding structures called as mesophyll cells, which is arranged in concentric layers. Okay, so ultimately the thing is with so much of compactability in the bundle sheath cells and everything, the loss in water is very much less. So we are saying that what C3 plant is doing, C4 plant is doing very much efficiently. That means that if C3 plant is taking 1 liter of, is wasting 1 liter of water, because we all know that water is wastage. ठीक है. So if C3 plant take 2 liter of water, then C4 will take only 1 liter of water. That means there is how much there is half water loss. In C4 there is low water loss, I mean to say, but it is double efficient. So now let's just talk about something about called as Kranz anatomy. In the Kranz anatomy, you will see that this is the bundle sheath, this is the vascular bundle, and surrounding that vascular bundle you will get bundle sheath, and surrounding that bundle sheath you will get what, mesophyll cells. Okay, so what are the three properties of the Kranz anatomy? The Kranz and the three characters of the Kranz anatomy is that the size of chloroplast is very much for the accumulation of very much amount of carbohydrate in the bundle sheath cells. The carbohydrate molecules are very much the chloroplast are very much big. Okay, so another thing is the size, and it is very much large, I mean to say, and it is thick walled. It is thick walled because if the CO2 is transported inside, and for in the chloroplast of the bundle sheath cells, there must be a chance that CO2, there may be a chance that CO2 will be again diffused outer. So it is highly impermeable to gases, and there is no intercellular spaces is present. So this is the characteristic of the Kranz anatomy. It appears like it appears, this is called dimorphic chloroplast. This is called because this chloroplast is different and this chloroplast is different. Why this is different? Because it has called grana, and there is no Rubisco present, but here Rubisco is present, and it is a granule. So there is a functional and as well as structural differentiation in the both type of chloroplast. That is why it is called as dimorphic chloroplast present in Kranz anatomy. It is a very much important concept. Okay, now again we are moving to now what is the gain? The gain is there is very much high production of glucose, because the chloroplast is very much high, so there is very much increased biomass productivity. Dusra, it is very much sensitive to low temperature, because the enzyme pepcase, it is sensitive to temperature. In the low temperature it will not work, but it is efficient in high temperature. It will not be degraded in high temperature. It is a important property of that pepcase enzyme. And in high light intensity there will be no photorespiration, because there is no mechanism of O2 going inside. There is efficient mechanism of CO2 going inside with the help of pepcase. Okay, so now let's talk about the mechanism. In the mechanism section, let me just elaborate it to you very much clearly. That suppose this is the mesophyll cell, and this is the what called bundle sheath cell. So what is happening, that in the mesophyll cells what we have is the chloroplast. In the bundle sheath cells what we have is the chloroplast. In the mesophyll cells what is happening, that case. PEP case is present and PEP, phosphoenol pyruvate, is present. Okay, so what is happening, that CO2 is present outside in the atmosphere. Okay, and that CO2 is incorporated inside in the form of bicarbonate, as I mentioned earlier. Now this PEP is bind to that bicarbonate with the help of this efficient enzyme PEP case, very much efficient enzyme. Okay, so there is a formation of oxaloacetic acid. This oxaloacetic acid is diffusing into the chloroplast, it is stored in the chloroplast. Now what is happening, that oxaloacetic acid is converted into the malic acid, and this why it is converted into malic or aspartic acid, because it has very much high permeability. Now with the help of this plasmodesmata, this malic acid is now going into the into the cytoplasm of the bundle sheath cells. Malic acid is present here. Now what happened, this malic acid again incorporated into what, into the chloroplast. This malic acid is incorporated. Now what is happening, that with the help of some enzyme, malic acid is broken down into the pyruvic acid, liberating CO2 in the chloroplast, and that CO2 which is present in the chloroplast, and you know very well that rubisco is also present here, and with the help of that rubisco in the in the chloroplast of in the chloroplast of this bundle sheath cells, with the help of this rubisco and CO2, carbohydrate is forming, and the pyruvic acid is then released, and again with the help of plasmodesmata connection, it is going into this mesophyll cells, and that pyruvic acid, with the help of ATP molecule, it must be converted into what, it must be converted into PEP. So to maintain the reserve of phosphoenol pyruvate, we must have to maintain this PEP. So that is why pyruvic acid must be again converted into PEP with the help of ATP, with the help of ATP. Now again there examiner might ask a question, but is very much deep, that in the conversion of OAA to the malic acid, we need that NADPH2. Okay, NADPH2, because there is a reduction of OAA to malic acid, so that is why we need NADPH2 molecule. But in the simultaneous conversion of malic acid to pyruvic acid, NADPH2 is formed from NADP plus. So ultimately whatever NADPH2 is utilized here will be cancelled with the production of NADPH2 here. So this has no effect ultimately. Ultimately we will see that in the C4 plants, we have both C3 and C4 cycle, because you know that this is the C3 cycle and this whole thing is the C4 cycle. No, in the C3 cycle what you have seen, that we require 12 NADPH2 and 18 ATP, but for the maintenance of that C4 cycle, we need this ATP for what, 2 molecules of ATP for each CO2, okay, transporter. So that means that we have to run this cycle 6 times, because Calvin cycle is needed 6 times. So 2 into 6, that is called 12 ATP. So 18 plus 12, that is equal to 30 ATP is required, and 12 energy. So as you can see, it is very much energy dependent process, because 30 molecules of ATP is needed to perform this function. Okay, so this is all about the C4 cycle. Now I am going to CAM plants. This CAM plants, what is showing, CAM plants will show both C3 and C4 cycle, but it is occurring in the same cells. We have seen that in the C4 plants, the cycle C3 and C4 is happening in different, that C4 is happening in the whole cycle, but C3 is happening specifically. But in the CAM plant, everything is happening in the same cell. So there is same cell called as what, they called as mesophyll cell. But what is happening, suppose it is the night time and there is an enzyme called PEP case. Okay, same procedure, that in the surrounding we have got CO2. Okay, and that CO2 must be incorporated inside and converted into what, first stable product called as OAA, oxaloacetic acid, which is a 4 carbon compound from the PEP. Now OAA is converted into the malic acid, and now this malic acid is stored in the vacuoles. Okay, malic acid is acidic in nature, so that is why we are saying that acidification occurs in night, acidification. So that is why you must not apply the aloe vera or any of the CAM plant in the night. You must not break that part and apply it to your skin, because it is very much acidic and it may burn your face. So be cautious about it. Acidification, because malic acid is stored in the vacuoles. Malic acid is not converted into again into the pyruvic acid liberating CO2. This cycle stops here in the night time, but in the day night, when the sunlight appears, with the help of light energy, light reaction will happen, and with the help of light reaction we have ATP and NADPH2, which might have which might have exhausted in this NADPH2 and ATP. So that is why when the absence of NADPH2, malic acid if malic acid converted into pyruvic acid, CO2 is liberated. So there is no use now, because CO2 can't be reduced because there is an absence of NADPH and ATP. Why there is absence of NADPH and ATP? Because there is no light here. So now in the light time, in the daytime, this malic acid is released. Now this malic acid is broken down into CO2 and pyruvic acid, and that CO2 will undergo what is called as Calvin cycle. Okay, this Calvin cycle, and this pyruvic acid, with the help of enzyme PPDK enzyme, which is again low temperature sensitive. It means that at low temperature it will not work, but it is high temperature efficient enzyme, and it is converted into PEP with the help of 2 ATP molecules. The same process. That means it requires what? It requires 12 NADPH2 and and 30 ATP molecules, same as C4 plant. So see, Calvin is happening here again. Now there are examiners asking you some questions. Okay, what type of questions examiner will ask? That देखो, it is happening in the same cell, mesophyll cells, but the timing is different. At night time something is happening, daytime something is happening. But the example that you must know about the CAMS plant is Opuntia, aloe, pineapple. These three example you must know, must know. This is very much important. What is the primary acceptor of CO2 here? Pepcase. Important question. So this is some important question in this case, both pepcase and rubisco, because देखो here Calvin cycle is present, that means rubisco must be present. So pepcase and rubisco is present in the same cell, which is again a very much important question. Examiner may ask you pepcase and rubisco is present in which cell? So answer must be CAM cell. So in the next video we will talk about the photorespiration. This is all about CAM plants, C4 cycle, C3 cycle, and some details about why there is need of photosystem 1. This is all by my side, and thank you very much for supporting me. Please do give it a watch, and thank you very much for supporting me. I am so much thankful to you. Thank you again. Thank you. If you have any doubt, you can ping me on my WhatsApp or Instagram ID, which is mentioned downward in the description box. That is a Mukund 0819. You can ask me there. Okay.